Usually here on the Viking Update Show, John Krasinski and I, Jim Souhan, kick stuff around. Back and forth. This week might be a little different because I'm with the team. I was with the team in Dublin. I'm with the team in London right now. It's Tuesday afternoon, my time. I just recently got back along with Alec Lewis and Kevin Seifert and Dane Mitsutani from a Kevin O'Connell press briefing. So John will probably be asking me more questions than vice versa right now. This is the Viking Update Show. He is John Krasinski from The Athletic. Check out the audio from his recent live show, the John Krasinski Show, one of our most popular shows at TalkNorth.com that was live at Head Flyer Brewing. I heard that went very well. Also, we have Alec Lewis and Jeff Diamond doing Vikings podcast. Check it all out. We also have the Fantasy Huddle with Kevin Gorg and Randy Shaver. Check that out as well. This is TalkNorth.com. Best way to listen to the show or any show at the network. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. And the Viking Update Show is presented to you by OnX Hunt. And we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studio.
Scott for Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. What if your water was so amazing you literally bragged to strangers? With Connecticut, enjoy softer skin and hair, dishes and fixtures that shine like the sun, ice that sparkles like diamonds, and worry-free drinking water. All of this, plus 36 months, 0% financing. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Financing based on credit approval. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, this is Randy Shaver. Along with Kevin Gorg, we host the show Fantasy Huddle on Talk North. Each week, we're going to break down the matchups for the NFL season and try to give you the best chance to win your fantasy football games each and every week. Join us for Fantasy Huddle on Talk North.
All right, John, you get to ask me questions on this show. Why don't you start it off?
Yeah, I don't detect any accent yet, either Irish or English. So you haven't been over there long enough to pick that up. But just we'll get all to the issues the Vikings are facing, what happened against the Steelers, looking at the Browns, all that stuff. But just set the scene for us a little bit. I mean, you're over there. What has it been like so far? Just kind of soaking in that atmosphere, and also maybe kind of sensing some of the dread that's starting to seep into the fan base with what they're seeing on the field.
Yes. So to start off, I'm about 93% Irish. My sister did a DNA test once, and like the average person who lives in Ireland is 86% Irish. So we made a big deal out of this. My wife came over. We spent, some extra time in Dublin. We did tours. We did historical tours. We hiked up to Hout or however they pronounce it. And we hiked up to the cliff sides and looked down on the ocean. Everything was spectacular. The people were wonderful. As I pointed out in my Ryder Cup piece, Vikings fans and Steelers fans got along beautifully. Everybody was civil. Everybody was having a great time. It was a great experience. It was a really cool thing to go to the first game in Dublin. I really think the NFL did a nice job with pretty much, other than like the game clock not working at the actual stadium. I think everything else went really well. I'm really glad they're doing it. I'm also, now in London, getting ready to cover the Browns-Vikings game. So in terms of the travel, what Dublin was like, the fact that I already knew I loved London because I've covered Olympics and other Vikings games here. It's a great trip. I feel very lucky to be on this trip. In terms of the football, it's another thing I wrote recently. This feels like a strange commodity, a desperate 2-2 team. They're 2-2, and there's really nothing wrong with that in most NFL seasons, but they have no offensive line. They have, 3 offensive line starters out. They're about to face Myles Garrett and one of the NFL's best defenses. And after the bye, they play 4 Super Bowl contenders right in a row, and we don't even know who's going to be quarterbacking in those games. So there is a sense of dread hanging over the team now, as fun as the trip has been.
Is there, so in terms of the crowd in Dublin, could you get a feel for like how much was it American fans that made the trip over? How much was local fans there just checking out this game and seeing what it was all about? Like what was the mix like, and just kind of the cultures colliding, I guess?
Yeah, my guess is, I think it held about 80,000 people. My guess would be like 40,000 Steelers fans, or at least, whether they're from Pittsburgh or not, but Steelers fans, maybe 20,000 Viking fans, and the rest interested Europeans. Now there are expats all over Europe. I'm sure a lot of people came in from different places. Not all the fans from these teams came in from Minnesota and Pittsburgh, but coming over on my plane, even though there were a lot of Vikings fans flying here from Minneapolis, there were a lot of Steelers fans on that plane. Also, we saw a lot of gear worn representing other NFL teams. We saw a lot of Packer fans here. We saw Tennessee Titans fans. We saw jerseys from all over the league. So I think on top of the obvious loyalties for these teams, I think a lot of people just thought this would be a cool thing to come do.
100 for sure. And then I'm glad that you kind of brought up, because I've always noticed this with Steeler fans, because even when the Vikings play the Steelers in Minnesota, there's thousands of them that come. They travel as well as any fan base, but they always seem to be well behaved. I don't even know that that's the right word. Yeah. It's more of just like joyous.
Yes.
Like it's a joyous fan base that they're not causing trouble. They're not talking a ton of trash. It's playful. It's good banter. It's competitive. It's all those things. But there are certainly many other fan bases where there's some toxicity. There's a real edge to it. But I just never got that sense with Steelers fans, in close proximity to Vikings fans, and it turning ugly or anything like that. So, that would have been a fun atmosphere to be in overseas if that's the vibe.
That's exactly right. And it's fascinating because, I was an Air Force brat. I traveled all over the place as a kid. I lived in Pennsylvania for a while, and I lived between Pittsburgh and Philadelphia as a child. And now you and I know from covering championship games in Philadelphia and experience Eagles fans, and when we say this, I guess we have to give the disclaimer. Of course, not all Eagles fans. We're talking about the people who kind of set the tenor when you're in a stadium, when you're in a city, when you're at a bar.
Yeah.
Eagles fans want to fight you. They want to hurt you. Right. They want to break things. They want to set the city on fire if they win. They want to set the city on fire if they lose. Steelers fans, I've never run into a Steelers fan I didn't like. And that was the vibe this week. That big hike we took up to the cliffside. It was like my wife, myself, 2 other Minnesotans, and 4 Steelers fans. And the Steelers fans were just nice and chatty and realistic. And, we like Mike Tomlin. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is the right guy for us, but, you got to hope. I mean, it was just civil, normal conversation. Everywhere we went around Dublin, you saw just massive numbers of Steelers fans, and nobody said anything snide. There wasn't even anything sarcastic. It was just like, hey, let's have a good time. So that is the overriding personality of that fan base.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. They were not very kind to the Vikings, Jim.
No.
Man, Kenneth Gainwell, what the heck? Well, that to me, like so we will talk about the offensive line. Well, there's clear, real issues with that. To me, though, I'm almost a little more worried about the defense, because we knew that there was going to be some things you had to work through offensively. If this defense starts to falter the way that they did against Pittsburgh, man, that does not bode well for what's coming here.
Yeah, it's funny because I went into that game thinking that the Vikings were going to be able to run the ball, control the clock, make life easy for Carson Wentz, score enough points. The defense was going to shut down the run. Steelers were not a good running team coming into that game. And I thought they would hassle the heck out of Aaron Rodgers. What happened on the first 2 series? The Vikings sacked Rodgers, hassled Rodgers, 3 and out, get the ball, drive all the way down the field. And if not for a really dumb offensive penalty, they probably go in and score. But after that, the defense was not good. It just was not good. And what I notice is last year we learned that this defense really struggles in the middle of the field, running and pass defense without Blake Cashman. Well, I think what we're seeing this year is when Van Ginkel's out of the lineup and Turner's in, teams are going to run the ball very well against this defense. That's the problem. These Van Ginkel's going to be out another couple of weeks at least, and Cashman's not really on the horizon yet. These are problems. There are plenty of other good players on that defense, but really the strength is if they can line up Grenard, Van Ginkel, and Cashman behind a big, strong defensive front, they can make lots of plays. Right now, they're not making enough plays.
Yeah, and I do think as well when you have Van Ginkel out and Cashman out, and you put Turner in there, clearly the book is that, hey, let's run right at him.
Yep.
Let's make sure that we do not play into his strength, which is, kind of chasing down the quarterback from behind and making a play. And so I actually think especially last week, but not the Pittsburgh game, but the week before, I thought that I saw some things from Dallas Turner that, okay, he's playing a little bit better. He's starting to kind of understand things a little bit more, but it's still clear that opposing offenses are going to say, hey, 15, we're coming right at you and we're going to do it until you can stop us. And that is a hard position for a young guy to be in, but he's just going to have to figure it out, or Brian Flores is going to have to figure out another way, because, if they're going to give up that kind of yardage to Kenneth Gainwell, all due respect, some of the other backs and some of the other offenses that they're facing coming down the pike here are absolutely going to run right down their throat. And that's going to be a helpless feeling for this defense.
Yeah. We all know it's a passing league in many ways, but there's nothing more helpless for a defense or a team or a coach or a franchise to not be able to stop the run. Because if you can't stop the run, the other team can call whatever play they want. They can set up whatever play they want. They can wear you down physically. Running the ball, as we saw with the Eagles last year, is still incredibly valuable if you can do it well. And right now the Vikings aren't stopping it. Let's get to other aspects of this trip, other aspects of this week and this challenge the Vikings are facing. First, I want to ask you, have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you didn't know exactly where a property line runs? That's where Onyx Hunt comes in. And it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Also, I almost feel a little guilty here, John. I bought a couple pieces of clothing that weren't from Twill.
No.
Well,
how could you?
I know. On our big hike up in Hout, we came across an Irish golf store, and they had a couple of cool items that had shamrocks on them that my wife wanted me to get. So we actually spent, for the first time in years, we spent money on clothes for me that weren't from Twill. But guess what? I told you when I went to my daughter's wedding, pretty much everything I wore from Twill. When I go golfing, pretty much everything I wear is from Twill. When I think I'm going to be on camera or in public at a sporting event, pretty much everything I wear is Twill. Now on this trip to London and Dublin, pretty much everything I packed was Twill. It's comfortable. It wears well. It looks great. And it's comfortable. And I just never knew that looking good would be this comfortable an experience. So go to Twill by Scott Dayton in the Edina Galleria. You can check out the website at twillmn.com, either sign up for email alerts when they have sales, or just see all the great brands they have, brands handpicked by Scott, and tell them we sent you. All right, John, where do we go next?
Well, I think now let's hit, I think, what the real concern is, man, the offensive line is falling apart.
Yep.
We have injuries to Brian O'Neill, to Ryan Kelly. You can kind of maybe update us. I know you were in London talking to Kevin O'Connell today. We're recording this on Tuesday morning. What's kind of the state of affairs right now, the MASH unit, and where things stand going into Cleveland, in London this week? So
first of all, thanks to Kevin O'Connell and Vikings for making them available. We got up there and, we just had a little sit down with the, 4 writers, and Kevin is, they don't have to do that. We do appreciate it, and we appreciate the transparency. By the end of the conversation about the offensive line, Kevin O'Connell was talking about being on the sideline in Dublin and trying to figure out who the emergency offensive lineman would be. And maybe it's Josh Oliver. That's bad. That's really bad. Brian O'Neill, week to week, MCL sprain, hoping he'll be back after the bye. Ryan Kelly basically wasn't even worth talking about. He's got a concussion. He's out indefinitely. Who knows where that goes, because he's had so many concussions.
2 in 2 weeks.
It's 2 in 2 weeks. And after a history of concussions, it's only going to get worse. He might have to consider, this is me saying it, not the Vikings or Ryan Kelly. He might have to consider retiring for his own health. Who knows? And then, Donovan Jackson's out with the wrist. Fries, he's played pretty well. He had the dumb penalty going downfield that cost them on that first drive, but he's generally been a good player. Darisaw ramped up and played 80 snaps and played really well the other day. So they have at least that going for them. But I don't know if the current group is going to be able to function. And if they don't function, the whole season goes up in smoke.
Yeah, because I thought, we saw Carson Wentz made some good plays, had some turnovers. I thought in general, for the pressure that he was under and the punishment that he was taking, I actually thought he hung in there pretty well. But I don't see how you can sustain when the offensive line is falling apart. You have Myles Garrett coming this week, and then you want to eventually, I think, try to get JJ McCarthy back out there and put him in a position to succeed. All of this, Jim, was just predicated on the plan for this this offense this season was predicated on we're upgrading the offensive line to a significant degree. We're going to protect our quarterback. We're going to open the holes for the running game. We are just going to be tougher. And that just has not borne out. I mean, the Vikings quarterbacks are getting sacked, I think 14% of their dropbacks, which is like one of the highest percentages in modern history. I don't see what plan B is, especially when, all these guys are hurt. There's no cavalry coming in to save them right now. It's kind of it's a daunting thing right now for them to deal with.
And I've been asked by various people if they're going to trade for an offensive lineman, and it's hard to trade. It's hard to trade for an offensive lineman without giving up a significant asset. It's hard to give up a significant asset if you don't know what the state of your team is, or whether you can really be competitive, or whether that person can come in, learn the system, and be good right away. It's a tough ask. It really is. Let's transition to the guys behind that offensive line here in a second. Yeah. But I do want to thank Minnesota State Lottery.
She's Jen, the ultimate Vikings fan.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Vikings Jan Show Fan Show. My special guest today is Jared Allen. So, Jared, who you got for the Vikings game this week?
Minnesota Vikings.
Me too. So that's our show. We'd like to thank our sponsor, the Minnesota Lottery, who reminds you this could be your year. Play the new
Vikings
Scratch Game for a shot at $100,000, game tickets, and more. Minnesota Lottery. I'm in. Must be 18 or older to play.
And here's Talk North star Michael Russo, who will be doing a podcast soon about Kirill Kaprizov's new contract for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
If there's a positive, it's that even with Aaron Jones out, the running backs look really good. Jordan Mason is a really good back, period. And Scott is a good back who is a much better pass catcher than I would suspect.
That's the thing that jumped out to me, Jim, is like, he does seem to be much more versatile than I really knew. And it's not anything, I'm sure the Vikings knew about this when they brought him in. And And maybe that was part of the reason that he kind of won that roster spot, but we hadn't gotten the chance to really see it in the preseason. But there's two things. One is he is showing his versatility, but I think most significantly, we are seeing that Carson Wentz trusts him and to make throws to him, to put him in positions that are not exactly low degree of difficulty. And for a young player, be put in that spot, I think it says a lot about what he has already earned in terms of trust level, in terms of that he's going to be in the right spot when he needs to be, and that he's going to make the play when the ball is put on him. I just think that that's, if we're looking for some sort of optimism in this angsty time, Scott's a little emergence here as a real, true factor in the offense with Aaron Jones' injury. It's significant for them.
Now let's go back to the other position behind center, the quarterbacks. Here's the interesting question. Under what scenario does J.J. McCarthy go back to being the starter after the bye?
Yeah. Because there was a little bit of news today, right, Jim,
yes,
that they want J.J. McCarthy to practice a little bit this week.
Yeah, which also kind of blows up the conspiracy theory that, listen, I kept telling people, the modern NFL, with all the leaks, with all the people who might say something to somebody at some point, you can't just tell a blatant lie and expect to get away with it. And I don't think that's, if you have any complaints about Kevin O'Connell, and everybody in public life gets some complaints leveled against them, he's been pretty transparent. He's been pretty honest. The fact that the way O'Connell put it was maybe he can get back to practicing later in this week is a very strong indication that the guy just isn't healthy. Otherwise, if you benched him and he's still, it's still the guy you have all this invested in and have hopes for, he'd be practicing. He'd be out there trying to get better. He has not been practicing. So they hope he's going to practice later this week. And then obviously they're going to go back to him at some point. The question is when and why.
Yeah, because I am of the mind, Jim, that I don't want to just throw him back out there, behind a completely decimated offensive line unless he is 100% healthy. Like, I think that being conservative with his timeline, especially for a guy who's now had a couple of injuries, already early in his career, is not the biggest, strongest dude. I just think that there's no reason to rush him back, especially because, I think Wentz has been fine. Like, has he been great? Has he been perfect? No, but I think he's been all right under the circumstances. And so, we'll see what happens against the Browns, but, it makes sense that you get, kind of ease him back in this week to practice. Then he gets the bye. Then you really reevaluate things. But man, coming out of the bye, it's Eagles at home, Chargers on a Thursday night, then at Lions. The Ravens all of a sudden doesn't look as daunting, but those first three games and the kind of compressed timeline that you're in for them, I don't like that very much at all for JJ. So, I'm not sure what the answer is, to be honest with you. I just think that they need to be, being more cautious with him now, given the whole state of the team, is probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah. And that's where my gut is, or my head is that I look at other young quarterbacks who've ended up being good enough, and maybe they were held out their first year, like Mahomes, but once they started playing, they were just expected to be NFL quarterbacks. And sure, I guess it would scare me a little bit if they felt like at this point they're afraid to play him against certain teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would say I'm less concerned about the teams, although that certainly is something. I'm more concerned about the offensive line being banged up, and then especially right out of the chute, a Sunday and a Thursday game. Like that seems to be asking a lot on an ankle that is just healing up, to get ready to do both of those games so quickly. But, at the same time, to your point, Jim, if this is your guy, make him your guy. And just get him back out there when he's ready. If this is the guy that you're going to build around for the next 5-10 years, if you trust that he is the best option for you, no matter who is hurt in front of you and all that, maybe, maybe that's the play, is just put the ball back in his hands and see what happens.
Or, maybe to your point, maybe you do pick the Ravens game. That defense is beat up right now. And then you give him, the 10-day window before he has to play. Maybe that's the play. I don't know. So many things we talk about in the realm of sports talk, we can't always pretend that there's a perfect answer. This is a 51-49% kind of thing.
Yeah. How do you think Justin Jefferson's handling all this?
I was in the press conference sitting in front of him after the game, and he was very careful to say the right things and to not say the wrong things. And they did get the ball to him a lot early. And if the turf hadn't been really slippery, he probably scores on that one pass to the left flat. And then we're looking at a pretty good stat line. But I can't imagine he's thrilled. I also can't imagine now is the time he's going to pop off.
Right.
Maybe if this season goes badly, maybe if this becomes another lost season, or maybe if this is a lost season and McCarthy doesn't start looking better, maybe he'll start looking around. But that was the conversation we were having among the writers today. Is, man, look what this guy's done. He's had, Kirk Cousins, injured Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, Sam Darnold, and now he's playing with Carson Wentz. I mean, it's amazing what he's done, and how much better. That's the philosophical question. How much better could he have done with elite quarterbacks?
Joe Burrow, somebody, Yep. I do. Like, to me, like, that was always for me the separator in the conversation between him and Chase, and I think they're both great. Like, I don't want to turn this into like crapping on Chase or anything like that. But I just thought that when you look at how closely the two of them are in terms of production, skill set, all of those things, if there is a tie, the tie goes to the guy who's played with just journeyman quarterbacks his whole career. And so nothing about Justin Jefferson's start to his career has been, straightforward and easy, that way. And so that just has made me respect him even more. I do believe, and to your point about now is not the time to pop off, I agree with it. Number one, because he just always has seemed to be the guy who understands what the team needs over the individual. Even with his contract last year and all that, he never made it about him. He just kind of went along. But also, he's a smart enough guy that I do think, even though you don't want to make excuses for this team and say, well, it's injuries and that's it, he is realistic and has to look at it and like, look, our 3/5 of our offensive line is out. We're on our backup quarterback who didn't play much at all, for the last couple of years. Like, what more can I expect right now is probably what he's thinking, even though he's ultra competitive and he wants to win and he wants to be involved and do all those things. There's got to be part of him that says, man, there's only so much we can do here. Yeah.
And I don't really expect him to pop off during the season. I think if he's ever going to pop off, it's going to be a kind of a calculated off-season move if he is really pushing the franchise to do something or if he's interested in getting out. And I just think the way he's behaved so far as a Viking, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to get to that point. Yes. And I basically think he's going to have to believe that J.J. McCarthy is not good enough. And, and I don't think any of us are there yet.
Yeah, I think that's it. I do think that what it would take is for McCarthy to be a failure. And I also don't think that he will make that determination after a couple of games, after maybe even not after a full season. I think that he will give this, this coaching staff, this team every opportunity to build around JJ to kind of bring him along and give JJ every chance to prove himself and to learn on the job and to make mistakes and then come through it on the other end in a better spot. So I don't think that there's going to be drama related. I do think that you do see him gritting his teeth right now. And, he's one of the best players in the league, and he's kind of stuck in this difficult and unlucky situation. And so how he handles that going forward I think it's going to set a lot of the tone for what this team can do to even just keep itself together while they're muddling through.
Yep. All right, let's pick the game. Last week, I really expected the Vikings to win. I was dead wrong. I'm going to tentatively pick them to win a low-scoring game against the Browns. I just hate the Browns' offense so much. I think it's going to be it's going to be a weird game, like 18-16 with a defensive touchdown or something like that. I think the Vikings win a low-scoring game. I'm probably wrong. What do you think?
Yeah, I've been way wrong the last 2 weeks. I picked the Bengals to win, and then they just got blown out. And then I picked the Vikings to win a close one. I think I picked 27-23 or something, and they lost that one. So I am not a trustworthy handicapper right now, but I do have the same feeling of for some reason, 17-12 or something like that, some weird kind of score. Just with Joe Flacco has struggled so much. Now, if Quinshon Judkins runs it like Kenneth Gainwell, then the Vikings are in real trouble. But I do think that the defense, after getting gashed the way that they did against Pittsburgh, will come out with a new edge and will keep just a really poor Cleveland Browns offense from scoring too much. And then, maybe they get a return touchdown. Maybe Isaiah Rodgers grabs a Flacco pick and takes it back or something like that to just give them enough to scrape by 1-1 and come home and go into the bye and try and lick their wounds and get back to it.
Good stuff, John. I appreciate it. Please, everybody, check out the John Krasinski Show, his live show from Head Flyer Brewing this last weekend. Great stuff. We appreciate it. And John, I'll talk to you when I get home.
All right. Thanks, Jim.